Good morning, good afternoon, good evening everyone, depending on the country from which you are joining this session. I am Nishant Shukla, your instructor, and I welcome all of you on behalf of Edureka to this class of PMP certification exam training. Uh, we are all set to begin the class, and before we move on, let us have a quick view on the overall objective that we are going to achieve at end of this training. So one of the key objective here is to clear the PMP examination in first attempt. So at end of this session, you all should be ready and empowered to clear the examination. How we are going to do this is by understanding the formal project management framework with the use of PMBOK Guide 5th edition. And we will achieve this by doing a deep dive into all the 10 knowledge areas covering all 47 processes mapped to 5 process groups, which are also called as the domains of project management. And we are also going to learn how to implement the PMBOK knowledge in our day-to-day project activities. And at end of this session, you're going to receive 35 contact hours certificate, which is going to make you eligible to take the PMP examination. This is one of the prerequisites for applying for the PMP examination. And our journey to fulfill this objective will go on for next 4 weeks. As you know, these are the weekend classes that you have joined, and during these 4 weeks we will cover the entire course in 8 classes. And here is what we are going to cover in each of the class. So we are starting with the class 1 today. We have 3 modules to cover: introduction to PMP, which you're going to do now, project management framework, and project management processes. And in class 2, we will have the project integration management. Class 3 and 4, which is the next weekend, will cover project scope management and time management. Class 5 will have cost management. Class 6 will have 2 modules, which are relatively smaller module: project quality management and project HR management. Class 7 is again made up of a small module of project communication management and a very important topic, that is project risk management. And class 8, last and final class, we will have a knowledge area, that is project procurement management, project stakeholder management. Along with this, we will also have some discussion time, open time, to discuss about the tips and tricks for the PMP examination, what are the hurdles that you see, and the challenges, or any topic that you want to discuss here. Though we will keep discussing the tips and tricks throughout the session, it's a very open and interactive session that we are going to have. In case if you have any question in between, anything that you want to ask, so on the right side of your screen you see the pane for the tool that we are using, GoToWebinar tool. You can raise your hand there, or you can type in your question, and I will answer as and when the questions are coming. So we are going to take logical breaks also in between, and during those breaks you can type in your question and we can have the detailed discussion there. Great, fantastic. And agenda for the class 1 today. So we are going to cover 3 modules, which are introduction to PMI and PMP, where we will get introduced to PMI and cover all the key information related to PMP certification examination. Following which we will cover the project management framework and project management processes, which will set the ground for the entire training that we are going to do. So very important session here, very important class that we are going to have today. So before we start our class, let's have a look at who all are your batchmates attending this class. Before the training, you were provided a form, and based on the information you filled up there, I have pulled out these statistics. So we have total 18 people from US, India, Mexico, Japan, and Singapore attending this training. Well, quite diverse audience here, and I appreciate all of you to for joining the session despite the difference in time zone, and I'm committed to provide you an amazing experience learning online. So I'm sure that at end of this session you all will feel confident to take on the PMP challenges. And we have people coming from different industries like IT product development, IT services, oil and gas, aerospace, construction, and healthcare in one class. Well, it makes a little bit, you know, challenging also, but at the same time, it also proves that the project management is not confined to one or two particular industries, but it is industry independent. Project management is not confined to any industry, and principles and methods of project management as described in PMBOK guide are cover all the area, all the challenges that we face in our real life project. And when I say with so many people coming with a different background, they will have a different perspective here. So we are going to use examples of project management which is very generic, which everyone will be able to relate to their work area and their industry. Okay, and we also have people with varied experience ranging from 3 years to 20 years, and that is because project management is a need of the hour. No matter you are at what role or what level, you will have to use elements of project management in your day-to-day work, and also to manage tasks and deliverables that you have towards your organization. So you will need project management. In fact, we do project management in and out daily. So you need not to be in the capacity of a project manager only to do the project management. And that's why when we talk about the prerequisite, we'll cover that part as well. Okay, and now let us understand why so many people these days are looking forward to do the PMP certification. So PMP is one of the most sought after, actually I should not say one of the, but it is the most sought after industry recognized certification in project management. If you are a PMP certified person, you can go around the globe, walk around the industries, and you will have the same amount of respect and recognition, because PMP certification authenticates that you have the right skills, experience and knowledge to manage and direct the project of any degree. It can be a simple project or it can be a complex project. Well, from my experience, I have not seen any single simple project. All the projects are actually complex because there are a lot of challenges there. And when you prepare for PMP, you will become familiar with all the best practices of the project management, using which you will be able to resolve those problems day in and day out. Okay. Having a PMP certification also increases the marketability. Your prospects of getting a higher paying job or getting better projects within the organization increases significantly. As per a research, conducted by PMI, which keep doing these studies and research from time to time, what they discovered that a certified project manager, a PMP certified professional, gets approximately 24% higher salary than a non-certified project manager. And this reason is a very, very significant reason, a good enough reason to go for the PMP certification. Okay. And as we talked about this PMP, the project management as a skill is highly in demand across the industries. You can name the industry, and wherever the element of project exists in that work, nature of work, they require that industry or company require people with the project management skills, be it healthcare, be it IT, finance, energy, government, you name it, and project management is a need of the hour in that industry as well. Okay, so just have a quick look at this as which relates to the study that we talked about, that how PMPs are getting this higher salaries, because there are so many new requirements coming up. There are so many new complex projects coming up. And another study that PMI did, that this says that by end of 2020 there would be more than 65 million new project management roles, concentrated mostly towards China, US, India, Japan, Germany, Brazil. But these are not the only countries. These are the top countries. There are thousands and thousands of other jobs as well in different countries. So I would suggest that you have taken an absolutely correct decision to join this training and go for the PMP. Now let us understand another a very important point, that every person that comes to me asks how long it will take. How long it will take to become a PMP certified person. I do not have time. I don't have all this time in the world to study that. And where should I start from? So this slide will talk about your journey towards the PMP, and will cover this, how we are going to earn this credential. And so as you're already aware that this training will be spread across 4 weeks. 4 weeks means 4 hours on each Saturdays and Sundays for the next 4 weekends. So the first step towards your journey is you have already taken that by joining this training. Now the next step that you need to take is you need to apply for the PMP examination. And to apply for the PMP examination, you need not to wait for the training to get over. You can begin your PMP application process along with the training. So after the first after the first weekend, class 1 and class 2, you will have enough insights on how to apply for PMP, and you can kickstart the process right away. Okay. So the first thing that you need to do now, I mean the next step is go to www.pmi.org, create a login for you, and go to the PMP section and start your application filling up. And throughout this journey that you see on the slide, Edureka will be there to support you and guide you and help you and assist you in each and every step that I have mentioned here. So to apply for the PMP examination, we have a tool, Excel-based tool, which will help you document all your project management experience. So before you can submit your application, you can create that offline version, and this will help you keep an eye on whether your application is correct or not. You can send that to me, we can review that, and we can let you know what corrections you need to make. Because once you submit that application, PMI is going to review each and every credential that you have mentioned there. They are going to review your project management experience, and if they do not find it appropriate, then that may be sent back to you for the corrections. So to avoid that, I would suggest that you use that tool and submit your application to me, and I will review that and will let you know. Once you submit the final application to PMI, they may take approximately 3 to 4 business days or maximum 5 business days time to check your credential, and then they will revert to you, and if your application is accepted, you will be asked to make the payment. And once you make the payment, immediately your application, the PMI will the pick up randomly, they will pick up 20% of the applications for the audit. In case your application is picked up for the audit, then you need to provide uh, a reference for all the project that you have mentioned in your application. So you'll follow that process, and once you complete the audit process, your payment is accepted, your audit process is completed. Or in case your application was not picked up for audit, so you will receive a notification from PMI that you can go ahead and block your examination date. So the day you receive that notification from PMI, from that day, you will have exactly 1 year to take the PMP examination, and within that 1 year's time you can take only 3 attempts. Okay, but you need not to worry about the attempts at 2 and 3, because I'm very sure and confident that you all will be able to clear that in the first attempt. But you will have to follow the way I'm telling you. You will have to follow the process and the steps that we tell you. So the ideal time when you receive this mail from PMI that you can go ahead and block your examination, so the ideal time gap you should keep there should be around 3 to 4 weeks time or 6 weeks time, depending on your availability. But you have to ensure that you are taking the PMP examination when the momentum of studies is very, very high. Plan your travel, plan your life, plan your personal things accordingly. Okay, and after the training gets over, you should have, by the time you should have blocked your examination date, so you have a goal and you start working on that. So another area is, once your application is accepted and once your examination is blocked, do not straight away jump onto the mock questions. That's a very common mistake that people make. You need to study first. All the topic that we are going to cover, you need to pick up the PMBOK guide 5th edition, and you need to go through the PMBOK guide cover to cover. So assuming that you are able to spend approximately 2 to 3 hours every day, you should not, it should not take more than 2 to 3 weeks time for you to finish the detailed reading of each and every topic in PMBOK guide for more than 2 to 3 weeks. And once you have done one cycle of reading, then you jump into the mock questions. So Edureka has provided you more than 1000 mock questions to help you, assist you, and to help you practice the PMP examination. These questions are added to your LMS. When you go there, you can find in your account, you can find the PMP mock test there. Throughout this time, if you have any difficulties, any challenges, Edureka's 24 by 7 assistance will be there. You can reach out to our support team, you can raise a ticket, you can drop in your mail, a mail with your query, and immediately they will connect you with an SME, and within a stipulated time frame your ticket or query will be resolved. Okay, and once you take the examination and you clear that, you become a PMP certified person, then that certification will be valid for 3 years. During that 3 years time, you need to renew, you need to earn 60 PDUs to renew that certification. So PDU stand for Professional Development Unit. So each hour spent on any activity which is recognized and authorized by PMI is going to give you 1 PDO. So we have lot of courses which are approved by PMI, and you can get PDUs to those courses there. They will help you enhance your skills. They will help you in expanding your knowledge. At the same time, they will help you earn PDOs. Okay, so we can you can reach out to us and we'll definitely assist you in earning those PDOs as well. So this is the overall journey towards a PMP certification. So I'll just quickly summarize is uh, including this training, you should be a PMP certified person in 8 weeks from now. Okay, so for that you will have to start your application process as soon as possible. If you have any challenges, you can come to me, and you need to study. Second thing is you need to study, and you need to study the PMBOK guide cover to cover. PMBOK guide 5th edition. Do not even think of going for the examination without finishing one round of study of PMBOK guide. And once you have done one round of reading, then you move on to the mock questions. So during the session, I'm going to tell you what approach you have to take, how you should read that question, how you should answer that, and if there are any gaps, how you should improve that area. And then go ahead and take the examination. And we are all there with you to support you and guide you in that. In case if you have any question related to this application or anything, you can clarify that. Okay. So I can see a few questions coming up here. Dawn is asking, what if I book a slot and later I need to reschedule? Oh yes, that may happen because you may have some professional or personal thing coming up there. So you are allowed to reschedule the examination up to 48 hours before the examination. Within 48 hours of the examination, rescheduling is not allowed. If you do not turn up there, it will be considered as no show and your one attempt will be gone. Okay. Another important point is rescheduling charges. If you reschedule the examination before 30 days of the date, then you can do that without any charge. But after 30 days or within last 30 days of the examination date, you will have to pay a rescheduling fee of $70. Okay. Uh, there is no limit on rescheduling. You can reschedule it as many times as you want within that 1 year's time, but I would strictly advise you not to do that unless there is a real emergency. Okay, so I hope you got your answer, Don. Okay, in case if you still have any question, you can ping it to me. And let me move on to the next question. So Carl is asking, what if I am not able to appear for PMP exam now? And by the time I get ready, the new edition of PMBOK guide is out. Carl, very good question, and I'm sure this will give a lot of insight to other people as well. So first thing, let me tell you, the next edition of PMBOK guide, which is 6th edition, is announced to be out sometime in the second quarter of 2017. So you still have 1 year's time, okay, to go for the examination based on PMBOK guide 5th edition, which is the current edition, and this training is also based on the 5th edition. Second part is, for any unfortunate reason, if you are not able to take the PMP examination within that 1 year, so you need not to worry about that. Absolutely no problem at all. Because once you have enrolled, with Edureka for PMP training. You need not to pay even a single penny in future to attend or re-attend the class. As we upgrade our course, it will be added to your LMS, access to which is free for lifetime. And in case if you want to go through the training, all you need to do is drop a mail to our support team and they will put you in the batch of your preference or your choice. Okay, so you need not to worry about that. Once you have enrolled, you can attend the classes as many times as you want. Okay, like if you have some doubt or if you want to review one of the topic before the examination, you can do that. No questions asked, just need to drop a mail to support and they will put you in the next available batch. Okay, so I hope your question is answered, Carl, and if you have any question, any other question, further question, please feel free to ping it to me, write it to me here. Okay, and as now we know that what all we need to do, and the focus now is coming back to our training here. So first of all, let us understand how we are going to, what will be our approach in this entire training. So our focus will be to understand the PMIism, which is nothing but the PMI philosophy, that what PMI recommends to a project manager, what to expect in the examination, and how how you should take the questions. So we will focus on the approach you need to take to clear the PMP examination the first attempt. Okay, so this is the PMI philosophy that we talked about is extremely important, because this is the philosophy on which this is the very strong basis on which your answers in PMP examination will be analyzed. Okay, so PMP exam is a sort of psychometric assessment, okay, where PMI will check whether you arrived to the right answer by applying certain logic or it was just by a flow. So that becomes very, very important. And when we talk about the PMI philosophy, it covers everything. It can encompasses everything from 5 process group, 10 knowledge areas to 47 processes. So the 47 processes that we have been talking for past some time are at the root of this entire PMBOK guide. So we are going to do a deep dive into each and every process. We will understand the concept. We will understand their ITTO, which is also your inputs, tools and techniques and output. We will discuss, we'll review, and in between I'll keep asking questions. At end of the module we'll have some questions to check your knowledge and also to make you familiar with what kind of questions you're going to get in the PMP examination. Okay, so I hope this gives a good insight on what PMP is and how you should start your journey. Now let's understand what this PMI is. So I'll quickly spend a few seconds on this slide here. So PMI is Project Management Institute, which was established in 1969, and PMI is the one who is going to give you this PMP certification. PMI has been working very actively for the upliftment of project management standards across the industries at a global level, and they have presence in more than 171 countries, and number of people who are doing PMP and the members of PMI are increasing significantly month over month. As we speak, this number has crossed more than 650,000 members across the globe. And there are a lot of other certifications also which are offered by PMI. You can see that on the screen, your PMP, CAPM, PGMP, PFMP, and so on. There are a lot of certification, and eligibility criteria for each of these credentials are different. So if you want to know more details about it, you can just log into pmi.org and you can see all the certifications there. You can download their specific handbooks and it will give you insight on that. So in this class, we are going to focus on the PMP, Project Management Professional Certification. So what it takes to become a PMP? What are the prerequisites that you need to have? So that's very simple here. There are two things. One is your project management experience. If you are a bachelor's degree holder, if you are any global equivalent, then you need to have 4,500 hours of project management experience accumulated over minimum 36 months. So if you have less experience, less than 3 years time, then you are not eligible right now. You will have to wait for some more time. Okay. And in case if you do not have a degree, you have a diploma, high school diploma or any global equivalent, then you need to have 7,500 hours of PM experience, project management experience, accumulated over 60 months time, minimum 60 months time. Okay. And another important thing is there is project duration must not overlap. I'll give you a very simple example. Suppose you spend 8 hours in your office and you are a project manager and you are handling 2 projects simultaneously. So you cannot go to PMI and say that I'm handling 2 projects in a day. So my total experience for the day is 16 hours. No, that is absolutely not the right approach. PMI will never accept it. So you will, when you are submitting your application, you have to ensure that the projects that you are mentioning there have a non-overlapping duration. In case if it is overlapping with each other, then you have to ensure that the hours are balanced. So there is nothing wrong in handling 2 projects at the same time. So in a day, if you worked on 2 projects, you can say I spent 6 hours on project A and 2 hours on project B. That is accepted. Clear? And this project must be from last 8 years only. Let's say we are in September 2016 now, and the project that you are mentioning in your application, you did that sometime in 2002 or 2003. No, that is not accepted. Okay, that project must be from last 8 years only. Okay, and I told you already that 20% of the applications will be picked up randomly, purely on a random basis for audit. Okay, so in case if your application is picked up for audit, then you need not to worry about it. All you need to do is reach out to those people. They will have to download, or you can provide them a simple form, a very small form, where they just need to certify that the information that you have mentioned in your application is correct, and you need to forward that to PMI. And your designation during that experience or the project what you have mentioned there in the application form does not matters. You can be a supervisor, you can be an engineer, you can be a programmer, you can be a team lead, you can be a project coordinator, you can be a quality manager, anything. What really makes a difference is the role that you played and the experience of project management that you have. Clear? So if you have any questions on this, you can drop me a note. You can or if you're not sure about your candidature, whether you're eligible or not, you can just mail me your profile. I'll review that and I'll suggest you and guide you how you can go about it. So this is about the first prerequisite, and second is the PM education, project management education, where you require 35 contact hours, and that is exactly what you're going to get after you complete this training. Edureka is a globally registered education provider of PMI. This course that you're going through is reviewed and approved by PMI, and at end of this training, you all will get a 35 contact hours certificate, which will make you eligible to take the PMP examination. Okay, and the next thing to know is what is the PMP examination pattern. This is very, very important. It's very important to understand how this exam is, so that while preparing for it, you can keep certain things in mind. So this is a computer-based examination conducted at Prometric Center. In case if you are at a location where there is no Prometric Center within the vicinity of 250 miles, then you have the option of choosing the paper-based examination. Okay, you will get all the information on the PMI website, and this examination, computer-based examination, which is conducted at Prometric Center, is a 4 hours long examination, and there will be 200 multiple choice questions. So if in case if you have not completed all the questions and the timeline gets over at end of the 4th hour, the application will auto submit. Okay, and these 200 questions will be mixed randomly across the process groups. So we talked about this process group in the few slides from now. We'll talk about those process groups, but there is no particular sequence in which you'll be getting the question. They will be mixed randomly. Okay, and out of these 200 questions, 175 questions are for the final marking and 25 questions are for the pre-test question. The reason I have included this point here is because a lot of people come to me and ask me, hey, I know that there are only 25 there are 25 questions which I need not to answer and all these things and blah blah blah. No, you will not have even a single clue that which question is a final marking question and which one is a pre-test question. You will have to take all those 200 questions with the same level of seriousness. Okay, so just to tell you that do not get do not go for all the myths which are there. If you have any question, you either reach out to me or reach out to Edureka, or you can also reach out directly to PMI. You can drop in a mail at info@pmi.org and they will respond to your query within a stipulated time frame. And there is no negative marking in the examination. This exam is developed by the group of individuals who are PMP certified professionals across the globe from different industries, and the reason they have incorporated people from all the industries so that it gives you that experience, and it also authenticates that fact that PMP is not confined to any particular industry. PMI is not concerned you're working in which industry, what role you're playing. You will be given a situation and you will PMI will check that how you're going to solve that situation in the capacity of a project manager. That's all. And after you clear the examination, if you're going for a computer-based examination, you'll get the result immediately on the screen, and you'll get the provisional certificate there. You'll receive a mail from PMI within 24 hours, and you will receive the hard copy of your PMP certificate by mail within 2 months time. Of course, these timelines are, this 2 months is too late. You may get it earlier than that. Like I received mine within probably 8 or 9 days time. And your examination scores are confidential. No company in the world or no individual in the world can actually go and check, how much you had scored there. Clear? So this is about the pattern of the examination, and I hope all the doubts and questions that you had regarding the PMP examination are answered here. And the next important point to know about is how much money we need to spend to become PMP. Okay, so the fee for the computer-based testing is $555. So there are two different slabs that you see: fee for member and fee for non-members. So you have the option of becoming a PMI member. If you decide to take the PMI membership first and then go for the PMP examination application, then you need to shell out $139 for the PMI membership, and when you apply as a member, then the fee will be $405. Okay. It comes to 544, so it doesn't make much of the difference. Actually, you'll be saving only $11, but you'll be getting huge benefits actually when you become the PMI member. PMI also has an affiliated site, projectmanagement.com, which has a lot of information, mock questions, free tools, resources, and also it connects you with the entire project management community. So my personal recommendation is go for it. Take the PMI membership first and then you go for the PMP application. Okay, another point here is the re-examination fee. In case if you are not able to clear this in first attempt, which I'm sure will not be the case, but if someone is not able to clear it in the first attempt, or let's say there is no show, you could not go to take the examination, so you will have to book the second attempt. And while booking the going for the re-examination, if you're a member at that point of time, you'll have to shell out $275. For non-members, it is $375. So to check whether the PMP this prometric or computer-based testing is available in your country, in your region, you can go to www.prometric.com/PMI. You can check all the details there, or you can reach out to us and we will definitely help you and assist you. And any additional information that you need, any further question that you have, I would suggest first of all you go to this location on the pmi.org website and download a PMP handbook. PMP handbook is a one version of truth. That is a single source of all the information that you need related to PMP examination. All the data information that you saw on the website, I verified that with PMP handbook. So do not go by what others are saying, because there are more than 300,000 project managers, PMP professionals out in the world right now, and each one have gone through their own experience. They have their own learning. Some of them have done it quite early, and a lot of policies and things might have changed. So this should be your single source of truth. Okay. And I hope this you found this information informative, useful, and as I told you earlier, you can drop in a mail if you have any question. Okay, so let us now talk about the core concepts and the basics of project management. These basics will set the ground and set the framework for your entire PMP exam preparation. So this course is based on PMBOK guide. You have been hearing this word PMBOK guide since the beginning of this session. So let us understand what it is. So PMBOK guide, or the project management body of knowledge. A guide to project management body of knowledge is a distilled version of the body of knowledge. Okay. So this is a collection of the best practices of project management, and the latest edition that we have right now is the 5th one, which was published in January 2013. This is a source of all the project management processes. All the 47 processes that you heard about are there in this PMBOK guide, and we are going to do a deep dive there. Important point to understand is you need not to worry when the next version is going to come out. PMI has announced that it will be sometime in the second quarter of 2017, and first the beta version will come out, and then the final launch will be there. And people who have prepared for the examination using 5th edition, they will be given 6 months time after the 6th edition is launched. They will be just getting 6 months time to clear it basis on the 5th edition. So those dates have not been announced, but you stay tuned, and Edureka will keep informing you about the updates and progress as and when we receive it. Okay. This entire PMBOK guide is divided into 3 sections. Your key concepts, where we talk about the basics of it and the factors which can influence the project management framework, and the process groups. So there are 5 process groups or 5 domains of the project management: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. And the third section is your knowledge areas. We will also learn how these process groups, processes, and knowledge areas are mapped together. So apart from these 3 sections, it also includes 3 appendix, a glossary, and an index. Go through the glossary and an index and appendix. It's very useful, very informative. Okay. And so now we are starting with the basics. So as per the PMBOK guide 5th edition, the definition of the project is a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. So this definition is extremely important to know, because this will help you identify a project. This will help you differentiate a project task and a non-project task, a project work and a non-project work. How we are going to do that? By looking at the characteristics, some certain characteristics of the work that you need to do. So one of the characteristics that you saw here in the definition is temporary. That means it has a definite start and definite end date. Okay. If it is never ending, it is no longer a project. It will be an operation. Okay. And operations are handled differently. Project management concepts or processes cannot be used to manage operations. So first is you should be able to distinguish what is a project and what is not a project. And second characteristic is unique. The uniqueness is very important here. So the output of the project or outcome of the project must be unique in one way or other than any of the previous project done by your organization. For example, if your company is into construction and your company constructs bridges, so you constructed one bridge, that was a project, you closed it, you moved on to constructing the next bridge. Now can you guess, can you write in here whether it qualifies to a project or not? I know all of you are going to write yes, but on what basis? What is changing here? think of the uniqueness that the next project has, and then type in your question. Okay, so while you're typing this question, let me give you certain hints here. What is the uniqueness in the next bridge that your company is going to construct? There may be some different aspect of that bridge. Okay, and there would be some different specifications. The terrain might be different. Okay, so I can start seeing some of the response that you're getting here, and everyone agrees that yes, it's a different project. Okay, I can see yes. Oh yes, one very important point that is coming here is the client may be different. The client may be different. The type of bridge that you're going to construct may be different. Let's say you did a bridge made of concrete in one area, and the next bridge can be a cable bridge. Yes, absolutely correct. So there are a lot of factors which are unique. Okay, so you should be able to distinguish a project from operations. That is extremely important. And once you have identified a project, sorry, so before we do that, there are some examples of the project here, like developing a new product, service, or result, effecting in a change in the structure, process, staffing, your research, or any activity which has a definite start date and definite end date, and the outcome is unique, is a project. Okay, and once you have a project, then you need to start managing the project. And as per PMBOK Guide 5th edition, project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to meet the project requirement. Pay close attention to this definition. Application of knowledge. So if I ask you what is the knowledge here, when I ask this question to people, they will jump on that with this knowledge as knowledge about the domain, knowledge about the area we are going to work. Yes, that is important. It's very important to have a good understanding of the domain in which you are working. But specific to this application of knowledge in the PMBOK guide, we are referring to the knowledge of the project management. Project management knowledge is extremely important. You should know what process you need to use. You should know how you should manage the entire plan or execution of the project using the project management best practices. And skills, you need to have certain skills, competencies there. And these skills reflect, translates through your communication skills, your soft skills, your skills to manage the people, because project manager is supposed to spend around 80% of his or her time in communication. Communicating with whom? Communicating with the stakeholders. Okay, we will talk about the stakeholders in a while, but let me just give you a brief about that. Any person who is involved in the project is a stakeholder, and every stakeholder will have a different expectation. Your management wants you to finish the project as early as possible within the budget given to you. Your client wants you to finish this with the best quality. So your team is also a stakeholder. Your team wants this work to get over so that they can actually move on to the next challenge, and they have some different expectation. They want a raise, they want a better package, they want a better salary, they want better working condition. So everyone has an expectation, and as a project manager, you are supposed to manage their expectations. See, I'm not using the word fulfill. Fulfilling the expectation and managing the expectation are two different things. So as a project manager, you have to use your communication skills, your leadership skills, your conflict resolution skills, your soft skills to manage the expectations of all the stakeholder. Okay, along with tools and techniques. Tools and techniques will be given to you by PMBOK guide, and that is why after you become a PMP, your value will go sky high, because you will be aware of all the tools and techniques. So when we do the deep dive into the processes, each process has certain distinctive set of tools and techniques, and we are going to cover that. So you should be loaded with the knowledge of those tools and techniques as well, and you'll apply all these four things to meet the project requirement. Okay, so when we talk about the tools and techniques, and the processes, let us quickly understand what and where these tools and techniques are coming from. So this slide will give you a very good insight on how these processes, process group, knowledge area that you have been hearing for past 45 minutes, how they are connected, how they are related. So let me start from the scratch here. There are 5 process groups: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. And then there are 10 knowledge areas starting from project integration management to scope, time, cost, quality, HR, communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholders management. And then there are processes, certain processes. So depending on what stage of the project you are into, you will have to carry out certain processes which belong to these knowledge areas. So project integration management has certain set of processes spread across all this process group. Now depending on what stage of the project you are into, you will carry out a process from project integration management and another process from project stakeholder management. We'll talk about this mapping in detail in the later section. Today itself, in today's class, we are going to cover that. So this is for your reference. Okay, and this also will give you an insight on how this entire PMBOK guide is divided into 3 sections. So all the 3 sections you can see here: the process groups, the knowledge area, and the processes. And this also will form the basis of your PMP examination. So here is the examination blueprint here. You will have 13% of the questions coming from initiating, 24% question coming from planning, 31 from execution, 25 from monitoring controlling, and 7% of the questions from the closing. And these questions, as I had told you earlier, will be mixed randomly. It's not that the first 13% question or out of 226 questions will be from initiating. So not that first 26 question will be from initiating and then 48 questions from planning. No, they will be mixed randomly. You don't know which question from which domain is going to come at the number 1. Okay, so this will give you a good probably overview of how crucial and important this mapping of the domain is with the knowledge area and processes. So let's move to the next one, that you know about the project. You have been able to distinguish work, identify a project. You know how you're going to manage it, okay, by applying your knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques. But knowledge, skills, and tools and techniques is not the only thing that will give you guidance on that. But using that knowledge and skills, you will use or you'll create your own methodology. So project management methodology brings in consistency of approach across projects, and which defines how the project should be planned, monitored, and controlled within an organization. So this methodology is very important everywhere, because a simple example: when you go to your finance department, let's say you completed a business travel and you came back to your office, and now you need to get the reimbursement for all the expenses that you made. So what we'll do, you'll go to the accounts department. Hey, these are my bills, can you give me the payment? They will say, no sir, we cannot do that. You need to follow the process. Now what is the process? You pick up a form, or maybe you will go to a particular website on your internet, location on the internet. You will fill up a form there. You will enter the details of all the expenses. You will attach all the original bills, and then you will put that into a Dropbox. You will take a printout of that form. You will attach all the original receipts and put that into a Dropbox. On a particular day, that Dropbox will be opened, and a person, your accounts officer, is going to check everything, whether everything is appropriate or not, whether it falls within your limit or not, and then it will be given to the approving authority. They will approve it, and then on a particular day of the week or the month, the money will be transferred into your account. So there is a roadmap given, and entire organization is aware of that roadmap. Okay, so no matter people from which department are traveling, no matter at what level they are, but the same approach will be followed across the organization for the reimbursement. That is your methodology, and we are going to use exactly the same approach for the project as well. Okay, so a methodology is made up of your policies, processes, guidelines and template, and very important point here is PMBOK guide. So this also tells you that PMBOK guide is not a methodology. Lot of people have this misconception that PMBOK guide is a methodology. No, PMBOK guide is a collection of knowledge. It gives you the collection of processes and best practices. So you need to pick and choose the right process, right tools and techniques, and make your own methodology. Is that clear? So PMBOK guide is not a methodology, but PMBOK guide is a collection of processes, knowledge, and you will use the relevant one for your use. Okay, and where exactly, how exactly this methodology, knowledge of the project management will be useful. So as a project manager, your key role or the most important thing that you do, or in fact the only target that you have, is to strike the right balance among the competing factors of the project. And what are the competing factors? Like constraints. These are your scope, your resources, your time, risk, cost, quality, and so on. So uh, any organization or any customer or any project that you're working on will have scope, time, and cost as the most important factors, and of course the quality within the center of it. So as a project manager, you have to ensure that the project is delivered as per the scope given to you, within the timeline, and within the budget which is sanctioned or which was approved for this project, while keeping in mind the quality is intact, while keeping in mind it fulfill all the requirements of the customer. Now, easier said than done. It is not that easy, because we all are aware of one constant thing, and we have seen and faced those challenges, that is change. It can come from your customer, it can come from your senior management, it can arise due to a situation. So let's say you're working on a project that you have to develop an application with specific features within 6 months time, and the budget for that project is $100,000. Okay, and there has to be certain specific features in that. Now all of a sudden after 2 months your customer comes back and they say, hey, there is some change in our strategic alignment and we need to add certain new features in the product. Now what it is, it's a change, isn't it? And that is where the nightmare of the project manager starts. So you will have to ensure that the changes are handled in a very controlled fashion, so that the impact of this change in scope on the other variable like your time, cost, quality, risk, resources, everything is well understand. Everything is clear to you, and you will make the appropriate actions and you will make the changes everywhere in a controlled fashion. When I say controlled fashion, means using the processes as given to you by PMBOK guide, integrated change control process. We'll talk about that process in later. So all these methodologies and processes will help you manage or strike the right balance among these competing factors of the project. Okay, I hope everything is clear to you now. I do not see any questions here, so that gives me a good news. Okay, fantastic. So if this is clear, let's move on to the next year, where I have put up some very basic questions just to tell you how or what type of questions or how the questions will be structured in the PMP examination. So the first question is, which of the following is a project? So there are four options given here, and please type in your answer here. You can write in A, B, C, or D in the question window, in the chat window, and I'll see that. So I'll give you a few seconds time to type in that very easy question. I can see the answers coming in. That means you're still there with me. Oh, fantastic. So let us look at the answer. Let us just go through the question. Which of the following is a project? Sending a weekly status report, is it a project? No, it's not a project. Okay, it's an activity which you'll do, that definitely you will start and end it at some time, but it is repetitive in nature. Everything remains the same here. You have the same source, everything, you have the same source, you have the same receivers, you have the same format, same template. So it's an operation. Revamping the office interiors, is it a project? Yes, and I can see all of you have answered absolutely correctly. B, revamping the office interior is a project because it has a start date, it has an end date, and the outcome of this project is also going to be unique. It is going to revamp the entire interior of your office. Periodical quality audit is again an operation, and selling product through e-commerce website is obviously an operation. Great, fantastic. And the next question is, which of one of the following is not one of the constraints of a project? Now this is slightly tricky one. You may have to refer to the constraints that I just showed to you. So if you're taking notes, that will come handy now. You can use the notes. PMP examination is not an open book examination, but in this session I'll give you the liberty to refer to your notes. So while you're typing in, let me just read out the options that we have: scope, customer requirements, risk, and team size. Okay, I can see two people have written customer requirements, and maximum of you have written team size. Okay, so we have to choose from B to D. Let us look at all the options. Scope, is it a constraint? Yes, it is a clear-cut constraint of the project. You all are right in that. Customer requirements, is it a constraint? Yes, it is definitely constraint, because customer requirement will give input to your scope. You cannot finalize the scope without doing collecting the requirement and analyzing the requirement. Okay, so it is a constraint. And risk, yes, definitely risk is a constraint. We saw that. Now what is left is a team size, and team size is not one of the constraints of the project. Now this is a tricky one, because all of you can say that team size impacts our cost. So let us look at the situation. Your budget is approved, your project is approved, the budget given to you is, let's say, $100,000, and in $100,000 you need to create a team. Now choice is yours, depending on the availability of the resources, depending on the skills required. You will take a call whether you want a mid-level person, you want an entry-level person, or you want a senior person. Within the same budget, you may have a team of 5 people, or you may have a team of 10 people, or you may have a people of 12 people, isn't it? So the size of the team from the given options, okay, from the given options, size of the team is not a constraint. Okay, is that clear to you? You can have 5 people in your team, you can have 10 people in your team, you can have 15 people in your team, but the constraint may be there in the cost, but not in the size. And another way to look at this is from the given options. So out of the 4 options, you may have your own logics, you may have your own explanation that why team size should be a constraint, but you also have to see that you have to choose from these 4 options only. Scope is a constraint, customer requirement is a constraint, risk is a constraint. There are clear-cut constraints there, and the only odd one out here is team size. So the correct answer is D, team size. Great. So with this, we come to the end of this, the first topic that we have picked up, and now let us look at the larger picture. So this larger picture is the next step which you need to understand as a project manager, because without understanding this larger picture, you will not be able to take the right or appropriate decisions. Okay, this will also help you set the right expectations from the project, and you will also be able to decide the measuring criteria, success criteria of measurement of success criteria for the project. Okay, so this slide talks about the origin of the project, the source of the project, why you are starting the project. Okay, it can be a market demand, it can be a social need, it can be a technological advancement, it can be legal requirement or anything. It can be a customer request also. Yes, most of the time it is a customer request. Now, why I'm looking at this slide, why I have added this slide, because in few slides back, we talked about the constraints of the project management. Let's talk about the scope, time, cost, and quality. Three constraints of the project. Okay. Now, the question to you is, my question to you is, which element or which constraint should get the higher priority? Now, based on your experience, someone will come and say scope should get the higher priority. Someone will say cost should get the higher priority. Someone will say probably time should get the priority. But my answer is that is subjective. Depending on the need, why you're starting this project there, and depending on the situation, circumstances, the priority may change. So when you're doing it for a market demand, let's say there is a product, your company is already selling a product in the market which has been at the leader position for past 2 years, but now you know your competitors are working on some new variant of that product. If you do not launch the upgraded version, you'll lose your leadership position in the market. So your company will start working on that, and in that one, what will become most important is the scope and timeline. Your company will be willing to spend little bit extra provided you are able to launch the product within time and beat the competition, so you can retain your leadership position. Okay, in the social need, if you're doing a social project, like all the organizations have some CSR, corporate social responsibility. Let's say you take up a project to do some social work, and in that social work your company will say this budget is allocated to you, whatever you have to do is within this budget. So your cost will become high priority. If you have to do some technological advancement, again your quality and scope will become very important. Okay, so legal requirements, in legal requirement, your timeline, your schedule become extremely important. If the government has said that you need to okay, let me give an example. Let's say government comes and says by end of 2018 all the electronic product which you are manufacturing in the country must be lead free. Now this is a legal requirement. So in this project, what becomes most important for you is a time, is a schedule of the project. Okay, so it is very important to understand that how your project is getting aligned to the program or portfolio, which are means of achieving the organizational goals and objective in the context of strategic plan. So let us understand what is the larger structure. Where does the project fits into that entire scheme of things in project, program, and portfolio? So your organization, it may be in any industry, but they decide to add a new line of business in the organization, that is by launching a learning app for school education, the K-12 segment. So they start the new initiative with hiring a very senior person, and the first step that person takes is that he forms a team of market researchers, and they will do some study, find out what is the viability, what are the prospects, how they can go into the market, which area, which demography, which geography they should target, and all those things. And once they have the finding, they have some enough information to take a decision, and they have a go ahead, they will set up probably three different teams here. One is content development, second is application development, and then the marketing. So the one which is working on the content development, they will have some small teams working on the smaller teams, not small, but the smaller team working on the content for the different class. One team is working on class 1 content, second working on class 2 content, and so on. Application development, your company wants to launch this application in all the formats, so you have one team working on the web application part, second working on iOS app, third working on Android app, fourth might be working on Windows app. Then your marketing team, there would be different teams working on the product launch. Then you have one team working on the marketing, new market development. You will prepare your GTM plan, you'll start execution of that GTM plan. So these are the different activities that your organization will perform when they decide to add a new line of business. Now let's start from the bottom up, take the bottom up approach. Okay, so we have a team working on content development for class 1. So that can be classified as a project. There are some people, there's some 6-7 people who are working on the different areas to prepare the content. One is working on the animation, second might be working on putting the data on the slide, third probably is working on uh, getting it verified, or creating that what you call I would say the structure of the content, how they should go into the e-learning application. And then you have technical team, so one team working on the Android app. These are all the small projects, but there is a dependency among these projects. You can say these projects are interrelated. So the team which is working on the content, they cannot create their own format, they cannot create their own slide deck, their own animation, their own logo. No, they need to rely on this content, or the template supplied by some other team. They will also have to ensure that the content that they are preparing, it actually fits into the requirement given to them by the application development team. And Android app, iOS app, web application, Windows phone, different teams working on the different project, they will also have to ensure that there is some amount of synchronization between their project. So you can see there is a high level of interdependency. This is all governed and controlled at one level higher, or this alignment is governed at a program level. So collection of multiple interrelated projects will form a program, and there is a program manager managing all the programs. So program manager will not get into the micro level things of your project, micro level activities of the project, but program manager's prime responsibility is to ensure that there is a proper alignment and coordination among the activities or among the work which is being done by the different team. And these programs roll up into the portfolio, which is your new line of business. So this portfolio is aligned to the strategic objective. There is a portfolio manager taking care of the entire portfolio, ensuring that the entire work which is being done is in alignment with the strategic vision of the organization. So this slide here, you can see how this project, program and portfolios are structured. And after you have gone through that example, I think this will start making sense to you. Okay. So important point to understand here is that why we need to look into the larger picture, because as a project manager you will have to take certain decisions which will be within your area of jurisdiction. So you have to ensure that whatever decisions you take, that must be in the favor of the interest of the organization, and that can happen only when your project is aligned to the strategic vision of the organization. It can be while choosing or selecting a vendor for that, or it can be prioritizing your activity, whether you should focus on the scope or time, on cost, which requires the higher attention. So these are the areas which are very important for a project manager to understand. Though as a project manager you may not have any say in the program or in the portfolio, but you must be aware of the fact that why this project is being carried out. Okay, so I hope the structure of this project, program and portfolio is clear to everyone, and I'll be glad to answer any question or any query that you have. And you can just type in your question. When we take the logical break, I will answer all those questions in one row. Okay. So after we have gone through the structure of the project, program and portfolio, we really need to understand how the coordination among these entities will be taken care of. So let's say program manager, program has started. So there is a program manager, and there are 4 different project managers working in that program, taking care of different projects. So the day 1 of the program, they all get into meeting, and program manager says we all will have a review meeting on Monday where I want to see how we are progressing with respect to scope, time and cost, and I want you to come prepared with a report. All the project manager goes back to their respective work, and next Monday one person prepares a report in Excel, second person prepares a report in PowerPoint, third person has some MS project data available, fourth one is saying, oh, I'm going to draw everything on the board. So Now program manager is absolutely lost. He has no idea what is a coordinated progress. He can check the progress of the individual project, but there is absolutely no consistency among the information or the data that he is able to, which will help him check whether the progress among this project is coordinated or not. The alignment, the kind of alignment that is needed between this project, whether it is there or not. So what program manager does is he calls another person in and he says, okay, I'm going to work with this gentleman, and this gentleman is going to create the processes and template for the reporting. And that person say works with the program manager, identify what are the KPIs, what are the key performance indicators which he would like to see in the review, and then he sets up a process that every project manager is going to send the data on Thursday. End of Thursday they are going to send this data to this new person who has joined the team, and that person will collect all the data, will consolidate everything, and on Friday they are going to send it to program manager. So Monday meeting, Monday morning when they get up for the gather for the review, all the data coming from different projects, all the reports are exactly in the same format, and there is a consistency in the data which is being presented to them. Okay, so the program manager can see the coordinated progress. So this person who has joined the team is basically doing the role of playing the role of PMO, project management office, or you can also call it as program management office. Okay, so PMO is an entity which works with the program manager to formulate the policies and processes, and also sometime with the portfolio manager to create that and formulate those processes and the methodology that how the work will be coordinated, planned, and monitored and controlled. And then they work with the project manager to implement those policies and processes. So PMO is one entity which will bring in that consolidation and consistency. They integrate the data and information. Okay, uh, organizations, some of the organization rely heavily on the project management office, on the PMO, and they have a different level of authorities. Okay, depending on the kind of authority PMO has, they will take care of the thing. They may formulate the methodology, they may create the methodology, or PMO may just maintain the methodology, may ensure that project team and the project managers are adhering to the processes which have been defined. Okay, and PMO works as a licensing entity between the organization's portfolios, programs, projects, and corporate management system. They also take care of the shared resources, shared services. Suppose there is one server which is being used by different project team. So PMO will create a structure so that different teams are using it at a different time. Okay, PMO in some organization can also take care of the manpower. So depending on the type of role or the kind of authority PMO has, the roles and responsibilities are taken care by the PMO. It may be a supportive role where the degree of control is very low and PMO provides a template, best practices, training, access to information, and lessons learned from other projects. They just provide you the data or information. Another could be your controlling, where the degree of control is moderate. PMO has some level of authority. They provide support and they also ensure that the conformance to the processes, governance processes and policies are there. They may do a review on a periodical basis with the project team and project manager. And third is your directive PMO, where PMO directly manages a project. The degree of control is very high. Normally in case of directive PMO works very closely with the leadership of the team, or let's say the portfolio manager, where all the project managers will maybe directly or indirectly will be reporting to PMO. Okay, so most of the time from my experience I have seen it's a controlling kind of PMO where the right balance is there between in the authority of project manager and PMO. So let us understand what is the difference in PMO and project manager. If certain things which are supposed to be done, which we believe feel that in the realistic scenario are taken care by project manager, that what exactly PMO will do. So key aspect to understand here is project manager manages your uh, constraints. Project manager focuses on the specific project objective, and he also manages the constraints to make sure that all the objectives are achieved. Whereas PMO will make sure that the right methodology standards are available to the project manager for his or her use. PMO also manages major program scope changes, which may be seen as a potential opportunity to better achieve business objective. So your program may go for realignment, your program scope may change from time to time. So PMO will ensure that those changes are being rolled down to the lower level at a project level. And then the new objective is given to the project manager. So PM focuses on achieving those objectives and also controls the assigned project resources. So whatever resource, whatever team members are working in the project, PMO, project manager will be directly responsible for that. Okay, whereas PMO will ensure that there are multiple projects in the organization, so the usage of the resources is optimized across all the projects. Clear? So with this slide, I think it's very clear to you what is the larger picture, the project, program, and portfolio, and how does PMO fits into this entire structure, and what is the difference between PMO and a project manager. Okay, and along with all this that we have spoken about, you know, that project manager is supposed to manage the constraints and scope of the objectives, strike the right balance. But to do all these things, project manager must have certain competencies, and project manager must own certain responsibilities. So what are the competencies required? First is the knowledge. And if you remember the definition of project management, it says application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques. So this knowledge about the project management is extremely important. A project manager must know how he or she should plan the project, how he or she should execute the project, what are the different processes that are available for them to use. Okay, then the performance. So performance, of course, you know, everyone understand that. So what the project manager is able to do or accomplish while applying his or her project management knowledge. And your a project manager's personal characteristics, your attitude becomes extremely important there. This again require no further explanation. Your attitude defines what uh, how you're going to manage the complexities of the project. At the same time, project manager will have to own the responsibility to satisfy the task needs, what is needed to be done to complete this task successfully, what are the team needs, because team also have some aspirations. They may be personal, they may be professional, and individual needs. So a project manager need to have certain competencies which are extremely important. Your process, methodology, everything may give you a foolproof roadmap, but if a project manager does not have the right competencies or the attitude, or it doesn't take the responsibility, again the success of the project will be highly in question. Okay, and interpersonal of the skills. So we'll quickly go through these skills as well. As I told you, the second component of this definition was application of knowledge and skills. And what are the skills? Your soft skills, your leadership, team building, motivation. The list is very long. It's not limited to what is written here. So those skills are extremely important. And why they are important? Because a project manager is supposed to spend 80% of their time in communicating with the stakeholder. And why do they communicate? Because they need to manage expectations of each and every stakeholder. And to manage that expectation, project manager requires certain type of skills which are listed here. So you can go through the skills, what is needed for to be a successful project manager. There may not be a direct questions associated with the skills, but it is a good to know information, or rather I should say important to know the information. Okay, and we talked about managing the expectations of the stakeholders. So let us understand who are the stakeholders. So any individual or group or any organization who may affect or be affected by the outcome of the project, be it negative or positive, is a stakeholder. Okay, your sponsor may be a stakeholder, not maybe, your sponsor is a stakeholder, PMO is a stakeholder, project manager, your program manager, your performing organization, project team, operation manager, any person who is involved in the project is a stakeholder. Okay, and different stakeholders have different expectations, so you need to align, you need to manage all the expectations. And I'm repeating that managing does not mean that you have to fulfill expectations of all those people. Sometimes the expectations may be unrealistic. So using your skills, I'm going back to the slide, using your interpersonal skills, you need to set the right expectation. There may be some conflicts, so you need to resolve those conflicts using the right conflict management techniques. Okay, you need to do this trust building activity. So now I think you are able to understand why these interpersonal skills are required to be a project manager. Okay, so uh, with this we cover two important parts of this application of the definition of project management: application of knowledge, skills, and tools and techniques we are going to cover later. So up to here, if you have any question, please feel free to ask. If you do not have any questions, I have some very few basic questions for you. And let's look at the first one. So which one of the following is likely to be a part of an operation? Whether it is a setting up a new power plant or designing an electrical grid for a new community, building a new dam as a source for electricity, or informing the public about changes at the electrical company. There are four options given. Read the question carefully. I'll read it again. Which of the following is likely to be a part of an operation? Okay. So please type in your question here. Please type in your option here. Okay, I can see people are highly active, and the moment they see the question, they start typing in the answer. That's fantastic. Okay. Okay, so let us look at the answers. Let us find out the correct answer here. Setting up a new power plant, it has a definite start date and definite end date with a unique outcome, so it is not an operation. Designing an electrical grid for a new community, yes, this is a project. Building a new dam is a clear-cut project. Informing the public about changes at the electrical company, yes. So this, now there may be argument about this also being a project, that you will start on a certain day and it has to end on a certain day. Yes, I agree to that argument, but looking at the options which are given to you, A, B, and C are the clear-cut project. It will start at one point of time, it will end at one point of time. But informing the public about changes in electric company, you will keep on doing the same set of activities, let's say for 2 months or 3 months. So there is a definite start date, there is a definite end date, but between the start date and end date, you will keep doing the same activity repeatedly. That is an operation. Okay, is this clear to everyone? Okay, fantastic. Let's now move to the next question, which is of the following, what does the PM or project manager typically do most of? So I answered this question a couple of times. Please take a minute to go through all the options and type in your question. And when you're typing in, let me sip some water. Okay, I think everyone got it right. I don't think we need to go through all the options. Project manager will do all of it. Now, remember, in PMP examination, you will find options in the where you will feel that all are right. Okay, a project manager will do communications, a PM will do budget management, project organization, manage team negotiations, everything the PM will do. But most of the time, project manager will be doing communication. In fact, if you look at this, budget management, project organization, manage team negotiation, all three of them will also be achieved through communication. Okay, so the correct answer is A, communication. And question 3, which is again a very simple one, a program is which one of the following? So I don't think you should have any difficulties in getting the right answer here. Okay, Okay, fantastic. Let us look at the correct answer. And everyone got it right. A collection of projects with a common goal. Yes, a very large complex project may not be a program. There may be some sub projects, but it may not qualify to be a program. Collection of sub project with a common resources. No, that is not true. Part of this is correct, but not with a common resource. The resources may be different, or rather will be different. Collection of sub project with a common customer. No, this is also not true. Like the example that I gave you, the K-12 segment. Here your customer is not common. You have the different categories of the customer. So the correct answer here is a collection of project with a common goal. Okay, and that is also the right definition of the program. Okay. So with this, we come to an end of this module, and all the criterias and guidelines that I mentioned to you about the PMBOK guide, about the examination blueprint, about the mapping, okay, not the mapping, but the blueprint and your uh, PMP examination prerequisite, everything may change over a period of time. So you have to ensure that you are always referring to the most recent information, latest information, and the single source of truth for that is www.pmi.org. So log into that there, create your ID. You anyway will have to do that when you start your application process, and keep going there to check the latest information. uh, you need not to worry about the changes, because any kind of changes which are implemented at PMI level are where there would be a widespread communication for that. Okay, so but it is always good to be at the right place. And with this we come to the end of module 1, and we have two more modules to cover, and before we two more modules to cover before we are done for the day. So we'll take a quick 5-minute break, a bio break. So enjoy your tea or coffee, and we will resume in exactly in 5 minutes from now. So please be on time, and wish you good luck for the break. Thank you. Bye bye.
I hope you have enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries, and we will reply them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!